Hello, hello. Hey everybody, what's good? My name's Alckemy. Welcome to the channel. We're going to be filming the next episode for our Alckemy Conjures Beats or Alchemy's beat Conjuring. I'm gonna get the intro right at some point, which I actually don't have a plan for today other than maybe making some drums and doing some stuff, and we'll get started in just a second. But hope everybody's doing well. Hope you all enjoyed the first episode. I wanted to tell you all that at 6 p.m. right after my stream, because I'm not going to be live for too long today. I'm going to try to aim for about 3 hours. Chi is streaming, and I just kind of wanted to help spread the word and share some love. And so I'm going to copy the link and leave that here for everybody. Copy link, and you all can go hang out with him after I'm done streaming, or just go follow and wait for him to go live or whatever. Hey, Arl. But yeah, it's super cool. I'm glad that he's going live and he's kind of resurfacing back on the internet again. And show him some love, say what's up. He's a phenomenal person, phenomenal teacher. I don't know what he's going to be doing. I'm guessing that he's going to be making beats. We'll see, but I'm going to try to hang out in there for at least a little bit and see what's going on. But today we are going to be making our own beats. So before we do that, I actually remembered we actually have quite a few submissions, so we've got just a few minutes of doing our everyday quick play spells. And if you don't know what this is, it's just a 15-second daily submission that you can do to hold yourself accountable and just share it online. And I just do a very basic reaction and I'm like, oh, that's cool, or whatever. Nothing too crazy, but yeah. I don't know if this is going to play. So I'm going to play Pox last because OGG files have a tendency to do horrible things to Discord, but we'll see what we can do. But in any case, let's start with Ches, I believe. Did I stream the 18th? I think so. Yeah, I think we got Cyanide. Cyanide had a cool thing. But we're going to start from Chesburger. That's just wild. I would say to finish it, you should probably simplify, like the next section should simplify the harmony and find some kind of focal points where it's easier to follow along. And then just take one element from all of that detail that you have and just make that. Oh shit, you can't see or hear Discord? Okay, cool. Give me 1 second. Thank you. Let's try that. I had to reset that. Let's do that again. It was only 15 seconds. Yeah, so my advice would be to, on the next section, find one element like the bass line or something and simplify the harmony and like rebuild a new loop structure into the main section, or just pick that apart because you have like so much stuff going on in there. I don't know if all that's actually in key. It kind of works. Like, I don't know, jazz people can confirm whether or not that is actually functional, but I don't know, it's like on the border for me for that one. Yeah, I'm not skipping POC, but because it's an OGG file, it has a tendency to mess everything else up, so I'm going to play that one last. Yeah. In the land of the body, yo, you can get bodied, yo. I spit bars so hot, they on fire, yo. I don't know, but yeah, that was pretty cool. This is cool. It'd be super dope if it was like, if it went into another section that had a heavier snare and it simplified into like a stop and go. So like, you know, something like that, and then like went heavier with the bass. But that's a really cool, like, feels like an intro to something. I love this. Yeah, it's sick. Velvet's on that demon time with the distortion lately. Let's see if we can get this to work. If this doesn't work, Pac, submit it again with an MP3 or something. But we'll try for sure. Oh, it works. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so if you're interested, hop in the Discord. There's a link in the description, and then also I can type in !Discord, and that's a fresh link that you can get in and submit. I've had a lot of people come in and just share their stuff. You don't have to submit every day, but you can. It's just a cool way to give back to the community. But now that we've gotten through that, it's time for me to get set up to do the recording for my episode. It's 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. over here, so he's gonna go live in about 3 hours on his channel, not mine. I am still trying to get him on the channel at some point, but I'm not trying to force it. And he's super busy, and he'll come when he's ready, or when he has time, rather. So it'll happen at some point. I'm sure of it. But I definitely want it to be one of those things that's organic, and I want him to make sure that he has a good time, you know. I'm hyped, bro. Gonna be some good stuff. What do I have planned? Nothing. I have absolutely nothing planned. I'm just gonna cook and see what comes about. I'm thinking that I'm gonna start with some drums, and then I'll probably make a melody and some bass, you know, like I usually do, and just kind of fiddle around until I can find a hook or something. But yeah. Okay, so I have to do my intro deal or whatever, and then we will be good to go. I just want to make sure that everything is recording in the way that it needs to be, so that way I don't lose out on whatever is going on. Okay. How are you all? How's life? What's going on in your world? You can't see it, but the doggo is behind me. She is being very lovely and sleepy. Took her out a couple hours ago and then gave her tons of snacks. So B was nice. Yeah, it was a great start, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. Is I'm just starting something, you know. That's always what we're kind of going for. All right, let me ignore chat for just a quick second, and let me talk to the camera, and then we will be good to go. Thank you for the follow, Cole. I appreciate it. All right, you guys ready? I think today we're going to be summoning the Gurgith from hell. Hello, welcome to Alckemy. Fuck, let me try again. What is the title of what is the title of today's video? Alckemy's Beat Conjuring. Okay, let's do that one more time. Hello, and welcome to Alckemy's Beat Conjuring. Today we're going to be summoning the Gurgith from hell in order to make whatever the heck comes about at the end of the stream. Today, I don't really have a plan. I don't really have a whole lot of focus, but we're just going to dive right into the DAW. I'm going to get started with some drums, and we're going to see what comes about. So let's go ahead and get started. I think that I am going to begin with a kick, because I don't know why. I've just been into making kicks lately, and that's kind of what we're going to do. With that being said, I want it to be kind of doofy, kind of low bump and rumbly. So I want to kind of have something that is going to be less so of like a, and more of like a boom, you know. I was worried that woke her up, but she's fine. The other thing that I'm going to do on this is I'm actually going to save this as the default preset. I'm going to turn that off. Yeah, so we'll save that as a default. And the reason why is because when I get to making drums and stuff, I want to stereoize everything after the fact. Keeping everything in mono and then opening it up into stereo is just, I found that I'm always going back and changing it whenever I need to make variations to whatever it is that I'm doing. So Yeah, not too bad. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just go back to unipolar for now. And we're just going to make a little thing like that. Cool. Let's go here. It's not really even going to take shape until I start to distort everything and send it through copious amounts of plugins, but that's fine. Okay. Let's get some disto culture. That just kind of makes it sound a little bit more acoustic. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but yeah. Let's get some over on this. Fuse compressor. And then once we kind of have all this set up, that's where the tweaking will come into play. Because that's where I'll kind of modify what I want to do with this. I'm going to put this, sorry, chat's over there, so I'm going to put that here. I'm going to try to shoot for like -6. And let me see here. Let's grab a Pro Q. Yeah. So we lost a lot of headroom, or we gained a lot of headroom from that. So it's a lot more quiet, but I love the deepness of it, right? Although I might want this to be a slightly lower pitch. Yeah. And so even though this sounds like this is a really good starting point, we're going to do a lot more to it to make it more aggressive. Okay, so that's a little bit too much. Maybe what I can do on here is just bump that just a bit. Cool. So it's close. Set just a little bit. Okay, now we're going to add the texture. Actually, something else I might play with is when would I add texture for a halftime kick in this process? After the kick is already, like after the fundamental is already been established. And then the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit longer. Cool. Now I put everything in mono, so we're going to need to kind of give this just a hair of stereo again, but it should be enough to where I should be able to work with that. I'm also going to put this over here. We're going to put this over on this side after the filter. There we go. Let's grab a convolution. Let's grab a distortion. Almost there. I'm going to give it just a bit more of a bump. Cool. And now I need to control the tail. That was a one. And now we've got a really nice kick. It's nice and chunky. Cool. Sounds good to me. Let's go into making, what do I want to do? Do I want to do a snare or do I want to do a rim? Let me just try to get something in my head. We'll start with some kind of beatbox. All right, before at the beginning or before I went live, I wanted to kind of do something that was like a call and response type of beat. So, yo, what's up, ISO? So maybe something that's like, you know, something like that. Something that has like a change, right? Yo, what's up, Narisma? So that's kind of what I'm feeling. So I think we'll, yeah, all right. Sorry. We're going to do both a rim shot and a clap. So we're going to start with the rim shot first. It'd be nice if there was like, if I didn't have to open this up to choose whether or not this was going to be stereo, but whatever. We need a distortion over this. This is like my favorite rim shot maker. You just so for this we need to Push this a little bit late. Yeah, I think we actually don't want this, to be honest. Maybe a little bit, but not. Put a high pass on this. And I want this to have a little bit more of a crack, so... yeah, we'll try there. There we go. The magic to all of this is just knowing how to control your tools. Yeah, that's not bad. Grab a rim shot in here. Okay. Sounds great. Cool. So let's add some compression now. I actually like it with more with more compression, to be honest. I think that sounds better. Clip. Transient shaper. It's a bit much. That was good. Yeah. Yeah. Not gonna spend too much time on that. I just want to kind of do my thing and then kind of move on, and whatever changes I need to make. I have a whole bank of drums and stuff anyways, but just as a starting point and being able to have some stuff to work with is kind of the goal. The other thing is that if anybody's interested, if you want to learn how to make drums like what I'm doing, I'm not saying that my drums are great or whatever, but on my website at alckemy.com, I have a course for making drums in Bitwig, in Faceplant, in Serum 2. One of these days I'm going to do Ableton. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, cool. So let's move on to the next one. Now we are going to execute the clap. The clap. Ja? The clap. Start like that. Do this. Maybe edit this just a bit. I'm actually going to turn... Oops. I'm going to turn this off. I am hitting the right button, aren't I? Yeah, I just didn't hold the keyboard shortcut or whatever. I'm going to do this here. I think that this is just going to be better. I don't know why. Didn't that sound way different? That's so strange, but okay. Okay, whatever. It works for me. This is also going to be white noise. We just need to make this late, so we're going to put this on the filter. Time shift. Nice. Sounds like shit right now, but with the processing, sounds a lot better. Hey, Jimmy, cool result you had at the end of your recent trust process bit. Thanks, dude. That's what we're doing again today. Just kind of getting started. Cool. We're going to turn this guy on. Turn this down by a lot. My only thing is this guy right here. I want this to be a little bit longer. I don't know if you could tell or not, but did you see how much of a difference that made in the first transient? And maybe something else that I can do is actually just reinforce that. So I can just cut all of these off and just see what happens if I just make this hella short and distort the fuck out of it. Yeah, that works in my favor. Cool. I still want a little bit of weight around here. So that's why I'm just adjusting that. Oh, also, we can go into this one here and add some stereo to that. We can add some stereo to that one. And that just makes it sound a little bit more airy. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but a little bit of a mixture between some mono signal and some stereo signal. Just kind of opens it up a little bit. Let's add some disc tube, because that's just what I do on drums. I don't even know if this needs an OTT or not, but we can try one here in a second. This is probably already plenty loud, to be honest. Oh no, it's got some room for improvement. Okay, let's do this first. Just a little bit here, a little bit there. Let's do that. Long attack, long release, everything goes up. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. So we're gonna do the makeup here instead. Nice. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play around with some of the envelopes here to move it off just a bit, and then I'll add the stereo stuff. But at the moment, it's not doing it for me quite yet, so... Okay, that's all I needed to change, was like the tiniest difference with claps and snares. Like, that's why good drum design is so difficult, because like, even when teaching the mechanics of like, oh, you do this, like there's so much finite volume envelope adjustments that like make or break the sound to me. I think that for like the average person or the beginner or something, they'd be like, what's the difference? But like for me, it jumps out at me. It screams at me. And I do think that to be a good drum designer, not that I'm calling myself that, but to be a good drum designer, like you have to have such an ear for nuance with stuff. Kind of annoying, but what can you say? All right, let's give this some texture. I can hear it phase cycling, because the noise doesn't have a way to restart or to reset the phase, which isn't the end of the world, but it's just one of those things that like you're gonna have to play it a couple of times to get like the right crackle that you want. It's just part of the game sometimes. Just gonna scroll down here, something short. Let's put some noise over this. Kind of reduce that metal sound a bit. Cool. I like that. Now just as a bonus, oops, I am going to, I guess I can just leave that there, but I'm going to add a sampler. And I'm just going to find something like percussion or something of the sort to... something crunchy. If I can't find anything, I have a backup plan. Yeah, we can try that. It sounds pretty good, but the tambourine is so sharp on the high end that I know most of those, or I'm sure that all of those sounded exactly the same to most people. I'm sorry. I just... Yeah. Got some good drums today. And the cool thing is, like, every drum that I make, and, like, you know, I always start from scratch, always ends up in a sample pack or something. So, you know. Cheers. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my infamous hat rack. We're going to try hat rack 3 again. And what this is just randomized. Bitwig has drum generators in here. And so what I did was I randomized every single parameter, and then I ran it through an effect selector of a huge list of convolution reverbs that selects a random one each time, and then ran it through some effects, and then that's how I got this. But I love this thing. It's like probably one of my best inventions, because like all I have to do is hit this a few times and it's like... just gives me tons of drums, or tons of hats to work with. I have Serato sample, but I don't use it very often. A lot of times if I'm sampling, I just use audio because it's the most flexible. And it also provides just the most, like, versatility in getting the most out of stuff. And, like, I tend to just look at waveforms and then, like, assign the waveforms. So one thing with this hat rack, which I'm going to have to go back and fix, I'm not going to do it now, but at some point in time, I need to edit just the loudness of it. And I need to do something at the beginning where there's a replacer, because... or what's going on here? Dilla hat. Wait, what am I doing with this? Why is this... over... The effects selector. Okay, something's wonky with this because what it's supposed to be doing is cutting it out or cutting the signal out, but I'm getting something else. Maybe what's happening is on the effects selector. Are there effects inside of the effects selector? Because I have the replacer going on, but there's a tail that's happening that I thought that I had some kind of... it's with the transient control. No. Note receiver. Oh yeah, that's still within the high end of the hat, so yeah, sometimes you get those like stutters or whatever, which can be cool, but sometimes it doesn't always work. Anyways, I'll go back and fix that later. The first one is more functional. I don't know what I did with that one, but the most important part of the effects selector is in play, and that's what I care about the most. You can always process the hats again, which is what I'm going to have to do. But now that we have that, the one thing that I'm not going to do from scratch is I have a percussion maker from July 16th. And what this is, just pretty much something that will turn anything into percussion. And so I've got a short list of effects. This looks like a lot, but it's not. It's more of just having all of the parameters randomized with a different LFO on trigger. And I've got some compression, some convolution. That's probably also being randomized. A replacer. And then what I do is I just hit a note and it will make percussion for me. Cool. So we don't need much. I'm really trying to be like on the conservative side of having too much stuff to work with. But what I really like is that, you know, we've got some different sounds in here. We can also like, this is a great clap. So we can replace some of that and like interpolate between having a cool little groove or whatever. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick my favorite hat out of all of this. This one is jumping out to me the most. I think that this one is the most versatile. And we'll start from bar 61. Missed opportunity for 60. Never mind. Terrible. And what we're going to do with this is just create a hat line. That's a bar long. And I'm going to take every other one here and maybe move this one a little bit closer. So we're going to have a little bit of rubato here. And I'm going to slightly vary the pitches of every fourth. So there's a little thing right here that says pitch variance, and you can kind of just introduce a little bit of pitch deviance, kind of like so. Same thing here, a little bit of pitch deviance, so that way it doesn't sound like it's the exact same every time. And the main thing with this is that all of those pitch variations that are most detectable, or I think run the mid highs. So if we take that out, yeah, not bad. But now what we want to do is we want to make everything nice and tight. So we're going to shorten it up. And I'm going to try to And now that we have that, kind of off to the races with the beat making. Randomizes which impulse response it plays through per hit. Yeah. Well, because it's a they're all convolutions, right? Or like separate convolution devices. And when you're using an effect selector, you turn them off. Or like it turns off the other ones and only activates whatever one is being used. So we can also do something like this. And then we can dupe that up, make the last one longer. And then what we can even do, since I'm kind of fresh, it's fresh in my mind, is we can take that other clap. We can just maybe replace that with the second one or the third one to get some variation and like make it more interesting. And maybe what I can do is just use the tail of this like that, so that way it doesn't do the thing. But okay. I'm gonna take out the low end mud of that because it's right now it's going like, and I don't really want that. See all this right here? I don't really want that. So what I might do instead is just pull this up. Or change the pitch. Let's try that one. So that way it'll have the same transient of the first. Except what I also want to do is make this a little bit more staccato. There we go. I mean, yeah, to be honest, most videos, on how to use Bitwig likes a rattle sample, or Ableton Simpler, where I take audio and make slices or pitch within the same sampler. Yeah, actually, I have a lot of videos on that. The most relevant one would be where I take a bass patch. Look up the double sampler workflow. That's the one for you. So it's only regarding with basses and stuff, but that would be what. Long story short, what I do is I bounce out a bunch of sounds, and instead of trying to find chops, I use a macro to automate the playhead of where this is. And so I kind of just have the notes placed because I make sure that it's in key, and then I just do my surfing with the macro placement, which you can also, it's been previously done with the sample start, or velocity will change the sample start, but I think that it's just more efficient to do it that way. Dun, dun, dun. I might want to keep this one on. Dun, dun. We'll keep going with that. I'm going to send this to my distortion rack. Send this here. Turn this on. Cool. Now we just need more shit. Take the low end out of this. Shift it off. Probably shift the hats, the other hats late too as well. There it is. Cool. Uh, kind of just looking for texture now over this to make the beat a little bit more interesting. Might not be able to hear it, but you'll be able to feel it. Cool. Let's get some other stuff in here. I know there's a place for this. Why did that sound so much better? Oh, that's why. So I'm going to copy this. Put it here. Just grab these. I was like, man, something's off about that. So now I kind of just want to lock in the groove because like all the pieces are there, but it's just a little bit, it's not hitting quite as well as I want. I can also tell that these kicks are slightly off, so I'm just going to move that here to make sure that the beginning of the transient starts where it's supposed to be. So what I think I'm going to do is I probably just should have done that, but now what we'll do is we'll add one more hat layer, which this is going to sound more like a shaker than anything else, but boom, boom. Okay, not quite a hat layer, but, or sorry, not quite a shaker layer like I'd want it to be, but we can fix that. I'm going to grab a ring mod, and we are going to just kind of make this into something that's a little bit more noisy. Let's grab a filter. Maybe we can make this a little bit dirtier with like a Chevy or something. Let's throw a chorus into that. Let's throw a bit crusher onto this. There we go. So now I just moved this over so that way we have a call and response. I don't know if it's going to work yet, but I tried to do like a nice balance between having some edits and like listening to it over and over again and then doing some work into it and then listening to it, like making more changes, because if you just leave it on loop over and over again, that's like the fastest way to burn out. Okay, so right now it's, for one, it's too loud, but it's also too on time. So we're gonna move this way off and see what I can do with that, just to see if I can get a cool little shuffle. And now I'm just going to even just the subtlest movements of making those shakers line up made a huge difference. And I'm not completely sold on it just yet, but it sounds 10 times better. And a lot of times when you're doing this kind of music, in my opinion, like it's the subtle things like that that you just have to practice, because you might think, oh, all my hats are lining up, or, oh, I'm just going to do whatever and, make it as messed up as possible. But then you play it all together and it sounds like a little bit broken. I don't know, man. Sometimes just, the smallest changes, the smallest differences, or like make the biggest outcomes, I guess is the best way to say that. And the other thing too is there's a lot of layers on this, but it doesn't sound like there's a lot of layers. You know what I mean? I still think that this is something that you could beatbox every hit to, like, and I think that, that's kind of one of the other balances to try to handle. And I think that because I just ended up using mostly hats, it's okay. But, yeah, so the next piece of this is I'm just going to throw the main drums in here. So kicks go here, snares go here, and everything else just goes in the percussion group. And now we can create some space for this. We can create some room. Cool. What I'm going to do is I'm also going to back off of the side chain of the percussion, because I want the hats to actually have more space. Yeah, so now it's all kind of has a character. The next piece of this that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn that off. I'm going to replace that with an over. Do that by 2 decibels instead. It should sound the exact same. Yeah, I need to go back and change that template, but now I am going to grab a convolution. Going to grab distortion. Going to grab delay. Going to grab a filter. I'm going to grab fuse compressor times 3. Actually, no, I'm going to just manipulate 1 first. Just do something like this. And then I need a gate, most importantly. Yeah. Here we go. And so now I can drive this through different transfer curves and distortion types and whatever, and just fucking blow this out of the water, which is great. The other thing, though, with this and the utility behind it is that I can run this through different types of space and play with delays and play with even frequency shifters, maybe, and create just weird-ass shapes like this. Loud parts, yeah, probably keep that where it's at, and then just do interesting things to where we're pulling up some quiet parts of the sound and pulling up some loud parts of the sound, kind of like so. Maybe dip some other pieces of this. Just get interesting and weird and different percussion, but then I could just cycle through these different distortion types, really, but that's the whole point of this. And maybe back off of this and then push it up. But yeah, it's cool because this is going to give us more percussion and just give us some cool shit, and we can play with all of these to get interesting textures. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to try a completely different reverb because I always use the same one. So I think I used that already. Reverb factory short. Let's go. So I know that was extremely obnoxious, but this is something that we can use to give ourselves a lot of character to the sound, or to the layers of what we're working with. And this is just something that I picked up from my mentors. It's something that I try to implement a lot of these days because it's just the best way to, like, it's one of the best ways anyways to make your drums come alive. So yeah, let's just see if anything in here is interesting. I'm also going to set this to repitch and then turn it down a bit. It's kind of cool. Just work quickly. It's the best way to do this is to just work super fast. Mute this, do it again. Like that. Now I'm just cutting out the audio, making it kind of clean. None of this other stuff is really that interesting to me, so we don't really need to keep it, but... So yeah, we created some really cool texture over that sounds good together, and you can do this process as many times as you want, but usually I only do it one time these days because otherwise I just get stuck in the beat process and I'm like, I never get out of this. So, all right. I'm going to try to be efficient with this. And so what I'm going to do is I'd really like to... All right, hold on. Let me back up. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple of different basses that I'm going to try to serve for the low end. So I'm going to make a Reese and an 808. I don't know which one I want to go with. So we'll start with just the 808 first. But then I'm going to try to get into taking my time into the last part of the sound design because I want to try to do something that's kind of clanky, you know, or something that's kind of like percussive and more so atonal, but that's going to take the most time. And if that doesn't work out, I'll probably give myself a 20-minute timer after I make the basses, because if like it's just not something that I want to sit here and do, then I'll bust out the Oxy one and try to make some melodies out of it or something. And that's just going to be how we're going to get to figuring out what goes on top of this. So yeah, we have a first and a third harmonic here. Just going to cut that off. Let's add some more shaper table. Yeah. Feel the rumble. Rumble in the jungle. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but okay, so now what I want to do is add some texture. I'm gonna grab a saturator. So the reason why I'm using two shaper tables is because I'm actually going to play with using a wonky waveform. It's just a way to get some texture on the top end of it. And that's kind of something that I've been trying to do more of as of late, is just have like, I don't know, something more interesting than just the low end be cool. And part of the reason why is because it just helps make the sound a little bit more unique, gives it some character, you know? So I'm just making a wonky ass wavetable. Shouldn't be too crazy, but this should give us enough texture with, see how this is still in the shape of a sine wave, but it has all of the, yeah. And then maybe what I might also do is just play with the order of this. It's kind of cool. But I don't really want that much. I just want a little bit, so... Actually, what I should do is play with the mix of this. And then maybe I can make this just a little bit noisier instead, so we can use a ring mod to force this to have noise. Yes. See how that has a nice crispness to it? Maybe what I can even do is just add a little bit of spread. Get some legato on this. So generally speaking, if I'm going to go for something that's more of like one note, I'll go for an 808. If I want to go for something that's more melodic, I'll go for the Reese. I don't know, something like that's kind of cool. It's kind of, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if I'm going to keep it, but yeah, some other stuff that we can do to make this a little bit more interesting is do like an OTT over this. probably stick with the Reese. Like, I'm kind of liking where this is going. One thing that I will do with this as well is I'm going to make this just a little bit more interesting on the top end. So I like this, but it's, if we kind of back off of it a little bit, it's going to make headroom for everything else to breathe. Cool. So that's something that we can kind of just put on the back burner for a hot sec. We might still end up using the 808, so I'm not going to get rid of it. Because we can still do some cool stuff with that too, you know, just... Yeah, so they both work to me. It's just kind of which one do I want to go for, you know what I mean? So the next piece of this that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to design something that's kind of clanky. And the way that we're going to go about this is just FM. Just off stuff like this. Just create a really strange metallic hit, I guess. You can add some ring mod to this as well. Just experimenting with different harmonics of this. You know, something kind of like that. And the other thing too is, like, I don't have to stick with just one sound, so we can do multiple engines of this, which is kind of nice. So maybe for this one, I can keep the ring mod on this. And then maybe just do like one instance of this. And then we can start to get into the comb filtering part that we can actually kind of tune this with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this at C3. At the bottom here, you can see that there's a thing where this will pop up. So C4, that's 260. C4. Sorry. But we can, I got to squint. Yeah, it's kind of close. So that'll be our anchor point, and then everything else that comes about after that will be a smaller peak. But the benefit to doing this is that you can create your own custom comb filter like this, and it's going to give you a brief introduction to physical modeling, or the, what is it, the Car Plus model? Somebody? Something like that. And we can grab a note. We can set this to C4. Set this to 88 keys, plus and minus. And then we can go here and right click and go to 88 semitones. So now this is actually going to be key tracked. And then we can double this in order to kind of like force this into something that kind of has a perceivable pitch, but doesn't necessarily like fall in line with like, oh, what is that? And it doesn't always sound great. Like in this case, I'm like, I don't really like it. But at the same time, we can still keep adding to this to continue with the physicality of it. And then the other cool thing about this is that because we already have the FM system set up, we can just keep adding to it and figure out what we want to, like how we want to shape this. Like I still want it to be a little bit more dingy, so I'm going to add some other tricks like short delays and all that here in just a second. But at the same time, I feel like it's on the right track. So let's do that, where we can just make this really short, kind of like so, and that's going to help it become a little bit more metallic. Yeah, I mean, even if I did that, you know, but we made it like we just fucked with making the sound a little bit more aggressive, you know, so I don't know. We'll just go off of the first idea. Most of that's in time. A lot of it is not. Yo, what's up, Rob? Okay, so now we kind of have this, and I'm gonna just kind of continue to shape this a little bit and see if I can get a more interesting sound. The other thing is that we can start to do some other cool shit too, like play with the shaper table again and use, I'm just gonna use a different wavetable that I've already made this time. But yeah, it should be not that big of a deal. Digitables. I honestly don't know why I just did that. It was just a random decision. Didn't really do much, but maybe we can pull something out of it. That's sick. And so this is cool because now this is actually interacting with the shaper table. That's really interesting. So what's happening is it's reacting to the bias now. So if I kind of cool. It's a little bit sharp and a little bit painful, so I do need to adjust that, which doing stuff like this is one of the hardest things to mix in, I feel like, because you want it to be aggressive and you want it to be distorted and all loud and shit, but at the same time, like, it has to be controlled. So I'm gonna try to just tame this, and holy moly. Yeah, I really like the sound. I think it's pretty cool. Maybe what I'll do is add another fuse compressor to this, and we can kind of doom compressor it to where we just push everything up really hard. In fact, what I might do is just turn the makeup gain down and turn all of this up. And then I can go boop, boop. And for this one, I'm going to turn this one down the most because I don't know what this is going to sound like. Sounds pretty cool. Maybe something else that I can do is I can throw this through Beam and see if I can get some other textures for this. It's a really simple melody, but that's what this genre calls for, you know? That's pretty cool. There was also some other stuff in here that I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. Like some lasery sounds. So I might not stick with this, but we're kind of just using it as a placeholder to be like, I need something. I have nothing to go off of, and I could sit here and try to design a melody and do chords and all that, or I can just find something that's very simple and try to make offspring of it in order to get, you know what I mean, something cooler. Maybe something else that I can do is we can use another convolver. And I'm just going to send this through here. Let's try that. Sorry. So I'm kind of backing off of this now, doing a bit of backtracking to just try to play with different pieces of this to see what maybe something like that. That could be kind of cool too. Just to help give it a little bit of momentum. Played that terribly, but yeah, so something kind of like that is kind of where my head's at. I'm not quite sold on the sound in general, but I'm going to kind of just continue to mess with this a little bit and see if I can get a different, you know, something that's metallic but not abrasive, but, you know, something that, to be honest with you, I wanted this to sound more percussive as opposed to like a dang, 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 you know. which, but it still doesn't quite have the, doesn't quite have what I'm looking for just yet. So maybe if I can come up with a rhythm with this. Hmm. That's kind of cool. That's just the reset we have, but it was pitched so high that it made that sound. So now at this point, it's just kind of layering and trying to make it more, build a stronger relationship between everything. And if we have that, then we can kind of create like a cool little interaction between all of these sounds. We definitely want to turn that down, because I just want this to be something that's like, put it in the background maybe. So now I want to get this to bounce with everything else. Because right now it's like kind of there, but it's not quite there. It doesn't quite have the same energy as like, you know, of it being like, and I wanted to kind of have that. That might be useful later, so I'm just gonna... I'm pretty sure that's not how I played that, but okay. Yeah, there's some kind of recording quantization, I think. Oh, maybe not. I, I don't know what to say. Don't know what to say about that one. Give me 1 second, guys. I got a phone call. Hello? Hi, this is him. Sorry about that. I had a dentist appointment coming up on Monday. On Monday. So yeah, right now I'm kind of just fiddling, and again, just trying to get through the hardest part of writing a track, which is finding a hook. Fucking hate it, man. That's like the worst part of beat making, I swear. Is like, unless if you sample, which there's nothing wrong with sampling, but there's so many things that I want to make from me that I am like trying to work my way into. That yeah, it's just one of those things that's like hella annoying. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of put all this over to the side because it's okay, but I'm not really feeling it, and I'm not going to try to like force myself to keep writing with this. I want to find something that's going to be a little bit more exciting. And sometimes that's the biggest issue with running into how do you say, running into doing drums first, is trying to find something that goes onto the drums as opposed to starting with a musical idea. I think that for me anyways, it's always easier to have some kind of musical idea because I always know where to go with the drums. But if it's something that is just the drums, then I'm like, fuck, I don't have any context to this. Or what usually ends up happening is I write something more chill and I'm like, I settle. And so sometimes you just gotta kind of sit through the fire, and kind of like the video that I just posted yesterday, you just gotta sit with it for a bit. I've got plenty of time. I have at least an hour before I'm gonna go, so it's not like I'm in a rush or anything. But the hardest part is just getting the drums, or sorry, the hardest part of making a beat sometimes is just putting stuff in. For me, obviously, it's the hooks. Sorry to say that twice, but I at least can be like, you know what? None of this is working, but I can keep the drum beat. And that might be something that I might mess with, because I might try to pick up the energy of this just a bit, because right now everything is kind of like laid back and kind of loose. And what I kind of want this to be is more so of like something that has a little bit more like push. And so one like actual like call to action that you can do is you can just get a sample here, and right before your snare or your clap or whatever, you can just do something like this. And sometimes this helps create like a push. You know, something kind of like that. But I think that if we just have even just like a burr, which in some cases is settling. Even if you just have like a downbeat on here, just like. And what I might do is like, if I'm going to use this as a downbeat, I might come into this and just change this to 7 and then turn this back on and turn this back on. Because sometimes yeah, something like that. All right, let's bust out Old Faithful. And I told myself I'd give myself like 30 minutes to work on the... Hi, baby. I told myself I'd give myself 30 minutes to work on the metallic percussive thing. And if I couldn't figure it out, then I'd just move on. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move on. I'm going to pet my dog for a few minutes. Hello. Hello, sweet girl. Hello. Hello. You being good? You being good? I'm still working for another hour, okay? But then I will take you to do the business, and I will feed you and hug you and squeeze you and call you George. She is lovely. Love you. Get down. All right. Yeah, so let's continue. Nope. Get down. Get down. I know you want to co-host, but I need to work. Blocked. So let's bust out this bad boy. And I'm just going to see if I can create a sequence and try to get something, just some kind of idea sparked, because clearly, like, I have a keyboard. I don't really like to play keys because playing keys puts me in a very specific state of production that I tend to want to avoid. It makes me want to do things that are very melodic. And for this genre, we don't need melodic. We need stuff that's going to be much more simplified and things that I can just use as like a, yeah. It's just what I feel like the genre calls for anyways. So I'm going to start from a new project. You're not going to be able to see what I'm doing, but long story short, if you are holding the shift button and then you hit random, then that will generate a melody for you, which is kind of cool. And from that, I'm going to come into this and set the scale on this to D, maybe. Yeah, so we've got D2, and then I'm going to change the scale to like, I don't know, Phrygian, sure. Pump up the density, and then hit play, and then just see what comes about from this and start doing sound design to this and come up with something a little bit different. Oh man, that totally cleared that. That sucks. So this has enough contrast in the melody that is something that I can work with. And so what I'll do is just start to change this into certain things. And what I think I'm going to do is keep this kind of short as a melody. Maybe give this just a little bit of tail. Then I have this rack that I built called a selector rack, or a selector template. And what this does is it's basically just multi-lanes. So that way I can change the effect rack on here and I can have different versions of this particular sound. So let's say I wanted to do something, no, not compression, like a comb filter on this. And this is a good time to just stack effects and just try shit, because it doesn't really matter. So let's say that's our first effect. It's a little bit quiet and then also really heavy in the low mids. Right there, which is kind of annoying. Okay, like I already got something from there. So do 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 da da. Something like that. So we can see, like, this is why I love the Oxy one so much, is because even though I'm not going to use this for the main melody idea or whatever, it kind of helps me bridge of getting into something that I'm like, okay, I need something, which is kind of sick. So and we can even take this here and go, and we can do something that's like, oh, ooh, ooh, ooh. So we can go with a legato on this. Cool. So now with this, we've got another melody just from the Oxy one that we can use as like a counter melody. And that's kind of nice, as we can kind of create like a bell over this or something and just get something a little bit different. And again, it's not as heavy as I wanted it to be, but it's still something that I'm like, okay, I'm feeling this more, you know? Yeah, so we'll keep that variation in there as well. so much more usable now. So I'm going to spend the rest of the hour just trying to clean this up and get something more interesting to work on. But we actually have a vibe now. And that was, yeah. Sometimes that's the hardest part, is just being like, dude, what do I do? I can't tell you how many times the Oxy 1 has saved me to do to find something cool. We can also use this as well, so. But yeah. Can I get out of this? Wait. I'm gonna try to. Just add some legato here. So now I'm just going to add some counter melodies to this and just kind of have some fun with it. Yeah, dude. So now I'm just like adding more harmonization and stuff of like more things to roll with this. I think that we need this to be like super late though. Yo, Astro, what's up, bro? That was kind of cool. I can just throw that in there somewhere, and now suddenly I've got too many ideas, and it's like, what the fuck just happened? At first I had none, but literally the Oxy one was like, here's a bone, do something cool, and I'm like, fuck, okay, shit, well, let's make it happen. Also, chat is dead as fuck. Are you guys good? What's you good? Corey gets so mad when I say that to her. Just gonna get rid of some of this other stuff that doesn't really have any audio in it. That's fine. That's not all on you, or that's not on you. That's on everybody else that is hanging out and is just not saying anything. It's okay. Like, you don't, nobody has to chat, but I'm just like, gonna record a quick vocal in here. I hate the sound of my own voice. I think most people hate the sound of their own voice, but I'm just gonna get a yo, something like that. And I can kind of just convert this into like a throw. Hey yo. 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 I also don't want, it sounds like there's reverb on that. Hey yo. Hey yo. What? What the fuck? Hey yo. Hey yo. Hey yo. Let's grab an ensemble. Hey yo. Hey yo. Hey yo. Hey yo. Fit that in here. Hey yo. There's a screen perk thing. I was gonna sample it and have a try at halftime. Yeah, I found that by accident. That was Half-Life 2 like pain sounds. And I was just like searching for funny things within that, and I was like, okay. Hey, yo. I think it's supposed to be here. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. What is making the pulsing sound of that? That's so cool. Oh, it's this. Cool. So I'm not quite happy with the lead, but it is something that it is interesting, and it's something that I feel like has potential. No, god damn it. Okay. And what I can do is, now that I have at least two parts onto this, I can split this up and just have these two sections here, kind of like this, kind of like this. I can add some instrumentation over it, so I can pull this off. And then with this, I could also go into gonna make this a little bit late.
Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo,
because I want it to be like also a little bit faster. Yup.
hey yo, hey yo, hey yo,
Hey Cora, what's up?
hey yo, hey yo.
Dude, mixing leads is so hard.
Hey yo.
What happened to the rim shot that I made? Did I delete it? I mean, it's still in my rolling sampler, but I can't seem to locate it. It's kind of why I'm scrolling around. I got like 30 minutes left. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go find it. There we go. Yeah, I think I accidentally got rid of it. So in the second half here, just add a new track. And then I'll place this in here. And kind of just throw that in. Just have some kind of switch up, you know? Just see what that does. The AO just sounds so forced, so I'll probably take that out, but or it's just not placed in the right. Not placed in the right. I also fucking hate the sound. Again, hate the sound of my own voice, so. That's what I do every time. Yeah, just getting this to mix well is... Just trying to get this part correct first, but I mean the other stuff is still here. I think what I might do with this is Yeah, I mean, it's just the lead that's kind of the issue with this. But, you know, it's not the worst. It's not terrible, but yeah, I just find that, again, mixing leads is one of the hardest things for me, of like how to get something sit right in the front with the mid highs. I think the track is okay. I think it doesn't have the negative space that I wanted to have in the push and the pull, but you know, I'm glad that I at least got an idea out. What I will do for the last few minutes is I will add or quickly make a bass. Do I swing stuff or you don't use the grid? It's a bit of both. I'm going to do this extremely fast because we're kind of running out of time. Ready to catch the Twitch collab with what the... No, it's not a collab. Wait, did you all get the impression that it's going to be a collab? No, I'm just heading over there. I'm just heading over there to hang out on his stream. Like, I'm going to be a viewer in his stream. He didn't... Yeah. Although I love Chi, and we have our own time. We haven't done anything on public. Cool. So now we just need to blow this up, and then we need to add some spatial effects, and then we should be good to go. Yeah, I'll get him on the channel at some point. But he's like a family friend, you know, or somebody. He's like really done a lot for the channel directly and indirectly. But he's somebody that I've been listening to forever. Somebody that I've been lucky enough to... I've had him come over to the house one time. But yeah, for this particular thing, it's his own ordeal. I really think that he's the biggest fan of being online. So when he does get online, it's kind of like, oh shit, he's streaming. So... Fuck yeah. Oh shit. I was a little bit nervous. I was like, how's this gonna work out? But that worked out just fine. So I've got this neuro-based rack that I just use on everything these days. It's just OTT and then a reverb setting that I like quite a bit. And then this is being blasted, so we don't need that, but I'm going to replace that with this. Just do this, and then actually probably set this at -2. So that way this is always going to be at least 2 decibels below 0. Sick. That's what I'm going to name this patch. Because that's awesome. That's so dope. Yeah. So we'll just make some minor changes to this now to kind of get a little bit more dynamic movement if possible. Could also do a comb filter over this. I didn't add the reverb, but I think it's okay. And then with this, I think it's really cool. It's on the right track, but I want this to cut out more so that way it's interesting. So yeah, they're just kind of cool little fills and stuff that I like to incorporate. You know, just even that is just kind of sick, so. And then we can just Command E. Yeah, he's only on Twitch. Ah, that just made that buzzy. Kind of turn all that off. Kind of roll with it. I feel like this idea is a little less complete than the first, but I mean, it's okay. Just a little bit of noise. A little bit of saturator. It's a great bass, but it's not great for a lead. Sorry, the note got hung. I was saying it's a great bass, but it's not really good for a lead. But it's a very quick thing, and then we'll probably wrap up the video because I'm gonna head out. But so yeah, that was today's sketch. Hopefully that was enjoyable and you learned a couple of things. But sometimes getting to the hook is just biggest issue, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this series is to, and why I stream so often, is to just work on it and to work on improving my musicianship. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. For chat, very quickly, just as a side note, I'm going to just wrap up and like do my advertisements and stuff, and then I'll take questions if anybody has any. But yeah, let me just knock that out really quick. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, check out alchemy.com. You can join the memberships or consider booking me for a lesson. I'm dirt cheap compared to everybody else. And hopefully you had a good time or as much fun as I did working with this. And also thank you to chat for hanging out while I make this. We'll be doing it again pretty much every Monday, I think. At least every Monday. Maybe more often, maybe so, but yeah, at least every Monday. So anyways, thanks so much, and I will see you in the next one. Let me cut the recording. There we go. And yeah, I'm a novice. I'm not even sure what to ask. Just enjoy your production. Yeah, I appreciate that. This beat is okay. I'm not really, I don't even know if I'm going to release this, to be honest. But like, and when I say release this, I mean even release this as a demo. But because I'm just like, this is stupid. But sometimes it'd be like that. Alchemy's beat Conjuring July 21st, 2025. Yeah. Oh shit. I need to look at my calendar real fast, because I might need to call them back. But yeah, does anybody have any questions about anything? I don't really have anything else that I want to do. I think I did all the things. Continue. Monday the 21st. That's the 28th. Need to check. I might have to make a phone call tomorrow and reschedule for something, just because I've got a gig on Monday. Monday I might not be here. I just said every Monday, but Monday I might not be here. I have a gig, and then I also have a dentist appointment. So, but if that's the case, then I'll stream Tuesday night if I have to. But yeah, sorry, just getting my ducks in a row. But yeah, I don't really have anything else that I want to do. Let's go ahead and check out Cheese Stream. I'm gonna go ahead and just pull this up and leave you all a link, because that's where I'm gonna hang out for the next few minutes. I'm gonna feed my dog, but then I'm going to twitch.tv/ what the fuck is Chi. I think this is it. I just typed it into the browser, but I'm gonna go ahead and link it in chat again. Announcements going on. Yeah, is the same one? Yeah, same one. Okay, cool. So yeah, much love, guys. I'm gonna post this up in here in case if you all want to go hang out. Even if you don't have Twitch, I think that you can still watch without an account. So go follow up and say what's up and go hang out and do all the things. But yeah, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. I'm gonna head out, and I'll see you all Wednesday. Bye. Have a great rest of your day.